So you are considering being behind the scenes at South by Southwest. Why would you do that? We're going to go into reasons why you may or may not want to volunteer at South by Southwest. My name is Stephanie Toma, and I was behind the scenes at South by in 2020. So I'm going to let you know what I learned to help you make the decision for yourself. And in case you're new to my channel, we go over things that are personal and professional development, travel, original music, creativity, creative expression, and some other random yet fun stuff. To dive in here, let's go into the logistics. You can expect to be working 32 to 56 hours. And being called a volunteer is a little bit deceiving. It is a work trade, essentially. You are behind the scenes or maybe quite externally facing for those 32 to 56 hours. In exchange, you get badge. You can get anywhere from an EDU badge, which gives you access to the first 4 days of the 2-week experience, which is South by Southwest. You can get film or music, which will give you access to not everything, but if it is a film focus, if it is a music focus, then you'll have at least second priority into those things. There's also interactive, which is kind of a general admission sort of badge. You will gain access to most things, either first or second priority. And last but not least is platinum, which gives you access to pretty much everything. But if you are doing the volunteering / work trade, you will not have access to the fast pass feature, which pretty much makes you a shoo-in to 3 different activities throughout the course of the 2 weeks. But I did hear from people that had access to that through purchasing their passes that they became live at 8 a.m. and you needed to be on it to have a chance at getting that fast pass. So otherwise, you are, even as a platinum pass holder, going to be spending a significant amount of time in line, especially for movie premieres, multiple hours. That's just how it goes at South by. But for many of the sessions, you can count on, if it's a really popular one, if you're there at least a half an hour early or an hour early for the super big names, that should be enough. But more time for networking, right? However, when you are volunteering, networking will be happening with your peers, but not necessarily with the attendees at that time, because your focus is essentially on this work trade. You do have lunch provided. There are a series of food trucks that are specifically for volunteers. And they're typically open anywhere from 11 to 7. No matter what time you take your break, you will have ample time. And by the way, breaks for lunch are typically anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. So they're quite generous. You won't need to be rushing around. You will be getting your steps in, however, because things are pretty spread out. It is downtown Austin, so you will probably walk miles every day. But let's say where the lunch trucks are, you could be a little over a half mile from it, depending on where you're situated. And you may also consider the different roles. So if you're working sessions, you're doing things like moderating lines, ensuring that everything in the event space is going well before people enter. There's also tech. That's more so the sound and the lights and everything like that. Oftentimes there are set settings. So what's cool is if you do tech, you'll typically be in the room. So you'll get to watch the panel. And basically it's not a lot of adjusting, just kind of making sure that things are okay. And I did hear there was a 1-hour training for that. You could also be doing music. And one of the reasons to do music is because if you want that platinum pass, it is the most bang for your buck. So I went ahead and did some math. Badges are in between $2K and $500. That's the value that you're getting. The best value for your time, the most that you could make is around 62 an hour. And by the way, you're not getting paid, but this is an equivalent value. So the 62 an hour would be, if you do the music, you would be starting at 6 p.m. going until 2 a.m. Maybe not many people want to do that. Maybe it's a little rowdy, all of the above. The breakdown tends to be a bit more for that. And then on the lower end of the spectrum would be an EDU badge, which would require 40 hours of work. And since the badge is valued at 500, that's about $12.50 an hour. So, but bear in mind that you are not actually getting paid this, but I personally like to know what the value is. And what some people also like to do is concentrate their volunteer hours earlier. Then they can just relax and enjoy everything that there is. But be aware, if there are certain aspects of South by that you want to attend, don't work during that time. How the flow goes is it starts with EDU, a lot of ed programming for teachers, maybe professors and things like that, a lot of K through 12 emphasis. And then after that would be sessions, my personal favorite, lots of workshop sessions. There are even mentorship sessions where you can have a 15-minute chat with someone in a various type of industry during the session period. And then we move on into programming that is more film specific. And then after that is more music. But if you are local to Austin, pro tip, if you don't even need to volunteer, you can pay $150 and get a variation of a music pass. So I believe it's just a wristband. It's not an actual pass. So let's say that there are certain sessions where you would get to go in with a music badge. If you go that route, you would not have the badge, but you would have the wristband to see the live music. We went over the types of badges. And if you are interested in the behind the scenes, like I am, and you're interested in being a manager and having a sort of leadership role, typically to get a platinum badge, it's also the 40-hour exchange. However, you would be behind the scenes in a more of a leadership capacity, managing people. And it is mandatory that you volunteer for at least 1 year to be eligible for that. In a nutshell, those are the main things that if you are considering volunteering, you may want to know about. The food trucks were actually pretty good, and you're able to get a meal any day that you're working 6 hours or more. So there are some shifts where they're 4-hour shifts. What I was seeing a lot of would be 10-hour shifts. To have a meal activated on this card where there's a QR code, you get it scanned. It's pretty straightforward. And if you do want snacks, you're hungry throughout the day, it's not difficult to go ahead and find some free snacks during South by. They're everywhere. And a pro tip is if you end up volunteering at the information desk, you're going to know about where all these things are. You can either decide to go up to the people at the information desk or be the person at the information desk so that you are in the know of where to go to really maximize your time. I noticed people were traveling from both out of state, out of the country to specifically to volunteer at South by. It is a robust team, and they're long days, right? It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort. So if you are considering it, be aware that if you plan to be here, you're traveling here for a period of 6 days and you're volunteering all 6 days, the experience is going to be intermittent, where you get to experience the actual conference. And a lot of it's going to be a lot of downtime. A lot of it's going to be in spurts and bursts where you're actually doing work. That's the nature of events. It's action, it's showtime, and then there's the prep, and there's you getting there early and being available in case there are any fires, which every now and then there certainly can be. Yeah, if you have any additional questions about what it's like to volunteer at South by Southwest and how I view it as a work trade, it's not like people are doing this just because they love events, even though I definitely love events. It's one of those things where you get access to an experience that is really unlike how Austin typically is. It's people from all over the world. 50 people from all over are specifically in Austin during those 2 weeks. So just go ahead and see for yourself if it's something that you would like to do. Yeah, I'm wishing you a wonderful day. Until next time.